Hey guys, welcome back. I got a great interview planned for us today. We're going to be chatting with Creatress. Now, Creatress is a VR performance artist and 3D sculptor, going to be one of the speakers at the Women of Web3 Summit down in Miami, Florida, November 30th to December 1st. So if you haven't got your ticket yet, what are you waiting for? Do it. Get down there, and then you can see people like Creatress live on stage, doing her thing, chit-chatting, talking. Would you know what you're going to be talking about at the conference?
I think I've been talking about a few different things, a little diversity, a little inclusion, a little bit of metaverse, things like that.
Perfect. Well, first, I think we could probably take one step back. And Creatress, how are you today? What's going on?
I'm doing great. What's going on? Just, enjoying my Tuesday, getting ready for performance this weekend. And then the next one after that is the Web3 Summit. So I'm
Nice.
gearing up.
So explain a little bit about what you mean, your performance.
Yeah, so I am a VR performance artist, which really, for me, it means that I'm creating using VR. So I create a 3D sculpture using an app for the VR headset. And I have that, my in real-time view projected onto a screen behind me so that the audience can see exactly what I'm seeing in the VR headset. So you're almost like in my virtual studio with me, watching every single step I take to make this 3D sculpture.
That's really cool. Now, what got you into that? Because I mean, obviously, a lot of things that are in Web3, especially, the VR, AR, all that kind of stuff, it's all very brand new. So what got you into that? What excites you about VR and AR and all that?
Well, I've always been into technology, always been into art. So to me, it was very just a natural progression of things.
Mhm.
I saw the VR headsets had art apps. So that's what really encouraged me to get one. And then once I got it and I tried it, I fell in love with the ease of use and the ease of sculpting. Because in the physical world, when you make a sculpture, say it's a sculpture like this, you have to store it and you have to pay for the material. And so if you want to make something really big, you run into, well, where am I going to store it when I'm done or while I'm working on it? And where am I going to get the material? And can I even afford the materials? So sculpting in 3D in VR just has so many options that it feels almost limitless for an artist. So that was like the main reason why I liked it and why I kept pursuing.
No, that's cool. Now, have you done, physical sculpting beforehand? That was just the natural progression into it?
Yeah. I've done clay, ceramics, I've done glass, stained glass, I've done some glass design, I've done glass blowing, I've taken plants and found objects and created sculptures, kind of like living sculptures as well. So I'm pretty open to trying a lot of new things, but this one really kind of took it because it's portable and just so many things can be created. And then the fun thing too is if you create a sculpture in VR, you can
Mhm.
actually 3D print it if you have a 3D printer. So
Oh,
you can
nice.
actually end up having it as a physical sculpture as well.
The what is that term? Phygital, right? That's where we're combining the physical and the digital. So I
That's
also
right.
see I saw on your Twitter account, and you said it just a second ago, glass blowing, that you are the first lady glass blower on the blockchain. How did you get that honor? What does all that mean?
Well, really all it took was me creating a piece of glass blown artwork and minting it on the blockchain. I have done it. I think the first time I did it was like in 2012.
Hmm.
So it's been a while, and I was like, how cool would it be to have one of my glass artworks minted on the blockchain, and for the collector to actually receive that when they choose, right? Because some collectors don't necessarily want physical items mailed to them, or they don't want to reveal their address, which I
Hmm.
understand, but
Yeah.
just to have it as an option. So
Yeah.
I went ahead and did that back in November 2021. And yeah, and it was collected by an incredible artist, actually, Tanya and Del Rio, who I really look up to. So yeah,
That's
she's got
cool.
it. And it's the first time a woman minted an artwork on the blockchain that had a glass blown element to it attached.
That's really cool. Now, and I know, glass blowing is a complete artwork, right? Like, you've got artists
Oh
like
yeah.
Chihuly that can make multi-level, like floors, multi-floor, pieces of art. And it's not just pipes for smoking weed, right? Like it's actual art.
Totally.
So with that being said, and I think this has really been one of those conversations. If you're on crypto Twitter, I see it all the time, especially lately. The new narrative is royalty free. As an artist creating physical and digital products and items and art, what does that say to you when you hear people say, like, no, there shouldn't be any royalties, like we got to cancel that, right? Like, doesn't that go against the whole, like, kind of idea that an artist should get paid for their work in perpetuity, like no matter how many times it gets sold, that's your piece of work.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I was just thinking about today, about putting a tweet out or just put like giving my stance on it, right? Although up until now, I feel like it's just kind of, obvious. Like
Mhm.
the main reason so many artists even joined Web3 or even thought about making NFTs was because of the royalties opportunity, right? So to go backwards or to even entertain the idea that no royalties should be a standard makes absolutely no sense to me. Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, it's just so old time thinking and greedy, honestly. I think because I'm a collector as well, right? And I
Mhm.
would never want the royalties to be taken away from the artists that I collect from. You know,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
I'm just lucky to even have it, to even be able to collect it, let alone resell it someday. And yeah, I hope it doesn't become a widespread thing.
You know what? I don't think it will be. I think it'll be one of those. I hope that it's one of those items and discussion points where, now that we're all kind of outraged about it, that maybe that we change that narrative. Like for instance, like, I think
Yeah.
that people don't understand for some reason, and it seems to be in this. It's more of like the crypto industry, right? Like people get offended when people make money. Obviously, it's because they're not making the money. I think that's what it is, and that's my personal opinion. Where
Yeah.
you get these people that like want to cry about royalties. It's like, well, create something, and then look, you would want the royalties because you got that. I mean, look at artists, look at, in a
Yeah.
traditional sense, like musicians and actors. I mean, if you have a song that makes it to the radio, every time that song ever plays on the radio, you get a royalty check. Why shouldn't it be any different? Like it to me, it's like you said, it's maddening, it's perplexing that that's even the narrative. But I think that there are enough people that are outraged about it. I mean, even Snoop Dogg posted something the other day.
Oh,
I think it was Snoop about, there was somebody had written a letter saying, they were a young artist, like a teenage artist that basically created some NFTs in a collection that got the child and the family out of poverty. I believe that's how the story went. And it's an open
yeah.
letter to OpenSea saying like, hey, listen, like that's what gave me an opportunity. Why would you take that away from people like me? And it's like, when we can pull on some heartstrings like that, I think that's what's going to change the narrative and hopefully change people's opinion on it. I mean, that's just crazy to me.
100%. Yeah, no, I'm sure there's tons of stories like that. I've definitely seen the power of Web3 and what those royalties can do. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best. And I think thankfully there will always be somewhere that you can go and actually have these royalties be honored. I think it's the people that are going with the zero royalty route are being very outspoken about it. So I think it should be easy enough to steer clear of those people, and maybe just by lack of support, they won't really be around long.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Today, specifically the day that we're recording this, was the whole SBF and CZ debacle with FTX and everything, and so there's going to be some big changes that happen in this industry, and even if it takes going down in the crypto prices, which I think will ultimately bring down some NFT prices with it, and shake
Yeah.
out some of the bad people in the space. That maybe I just don't think that the scammers, they don't have a good longevity when things get bad, when they get tough. So if that's what it takes to shake out the bad people and the bad actors in the space, like, I know it sucks, but at some point we need it. Like, we need to get rid of these people that, are trying to, whether it's create bad regulation, create scams, honeypots, all these things that that give the space a bad name. But anyway, that's a Debbie Downer conversation for a whole nother day. So let's talk more about your performance. So you're going to be performing in Miami, and it'll be that same setup like you spoke about before, where you will get to see basically the bird's eye view of what you've got going on in your headset. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. I'm not sure exactly the time yet, but if you guys are at the Web3 Summit, you'll get to see it. Yeah, it'll be a little bit of music, a little bit of sculpting, really just trying to tap into the vibration and the actual energy of the space, the people in the space watching, and then making a sculpture that represents that's kind of my process and how I look at it. And then obviously the music too is part of the inspiration. As you know, most artists create with music. So I create a playlist so that I can, kind of have an idea of how much time I have, and then also kind of just move through different like phases of energy with the audience.
Very cool. I like that. And as speaking of the conference, it is the Women in Web3 Summit. Let's talk a little bit about that, with the inclusivity and things that, like, Carrie and Kim, the event organizers, in my opinion, have done an amazing job cultivating a great set of speakers and really building this whole concept of how conferences should be run moving forward. And I love that. I'm absolutely, as a husband and as a father to a 1-year-old daughter, I am a advocate and a true champion for the message of having women in Web3 in every position of power in whatever capacity it needs to be. And but my whole thing is just like, let's just stop talking about it and do it, right? And I don't mean that to be negative, but and let me ask your opinion on that. As a man saying that in this space, does that offend you when I say, hey, let's stop talking about it and let's do it? Or does the narrative have to be more vocal to get more people on board so that we can just get to this where, maybe women rule the C-suite in Web3? And I would love to see that. I know a lot of people would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, it doesn't offend me when people say that. I think it's coming from the right place, because I can't tell you how many people I've seen post about who are the Web3 women that I need to follow, and that just honestly, I feel like is mainly engagement farming, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're really looking for women to follow or women artists to support, just take 2 seconds to look and then just go support them. So I'm very much on your side on this one. It's just like, we could talk about it and I'm happy to talk about it, but that definitely helps, but it's action that actually helps. So if someone's saying, who should I hire for, as the keynote speaker for this event or performer for this after party, it's not just posting that and letting people tag a bunch of people, right? Or saying, who is the best artist for this event? And then not even doing anything with the tweets, because I feel like that happens a lot too. Yeah. Actually looking through the responses from the community and picking someone from there, and then maybe even sharing that on your Twitter or wherever it is, whatever platform you're using. Hey, remember that other day when I put out a poll and I asked for recommendations? Well, here's what I did. I actually collected. I actually hired this person. I actually had this person on a podcast. I think that would be incredible, and that would help move the space forward, much more than just asking, who should I follow? Or well, it's that value add, right? Like, and I think that that's probably one of the biggest things with kind of the whole segment and what we were talking about there. And I agree with you. The engagement farming of it is that's where it to me becomes the mostly insensitive people asking that kind of stuff. But the value add, the getting out there, like you said, interviewing them, getting them on the show, having them on stage, inviting them to the events, whether it's male, female, it doesn't matter. And that's why I love, the whole idea of where the metaverse is going to go. And that's, that's just conceptual at this point. And I know, where ultimately where that's going to be in, say, 10 years.
you know, it will be a place of all inclusivity. It doesn't matter. It's all encompassing. Doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, how you sound. I think value and contribution is going to be basically, you know, your credit in this ecosystem moving forward. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think whenever I think about the metaverse and I think about how everyone wants a part of it, or everybody, it seems like everyone right now wants to be the metaverse, right? They want to have the metaverse. And I keep telling people, like, I don't think that's going to be it. I think we already live in a multiverse.
Yeah.
Not to get too nerdy or like scientific, right? But there's technically multiple multiverses happening right now at once with different people in each one at any given time. And they're simultaneously, you know, operating. People are having fun on both. Some people switch from one to the other. And I wonder if one day we'll have something that just has portals from from metaverse to metaverse, and it's not so much of a competition, but people actually start playing along. I think that's when things are going to be really fun, and everyone's contribution will matter in that sense, right? So if I'm really into Star Wars, if I'm really into Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, like I can hang out in each of those metaverses. But you know, I don't think Game of Thrones is going to have the ultimate metaverse, no matter how many people like it. Some people will only like Disney shows. Some people won't even want anything to do with that. They want something completely new, and that will also thrive, I think, when we start kind of cooperating and yeah.
Well, you know, I
Collaborating more.
think I agree with you there, and I think, you know, you could even peel that back a little bit more, and when you look at that, you know, that to me is the basis for community, which is the ultimate engine that drives this entire ecosystem, right? So it's like, you know, that you've got your Game of Thrones people that want that Game of Thrones metaverse, you've got your Lord of the Rings people, and obviously, you know, there'll be people that like both, and they'll go from one to the next, and how that works. But that's how the whole, you know, instead of having 5 different silos of different metaverses, you know, the connectivity, the interoperability of how that all is shaped, I think is going to be the most important thing for you know, getting to that Ready Player One. Did you ever see that movie or read that book?
Yeah, I watched the movie a few times. I
Yeah,
like that. It's
it's
pretty interesting.
it is, and I have a feeling that, you know, we could get there if, and I'm not a gamer. I don't game. I would be more of the metaverse for social business. You know, being able to, you know, have a podcast studio in the metaverse, and that's where I do my shows, and it's in front of a live audience. You know, stuff like that. Like that's what I would use a
Yeah.
metaverse for, and I'm really excited for it. But you know, I had a different point at this point. It is definitely way gone. So
Well,
we'll have to.
can I mention something though, just that reminds me of?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually have been on a podcast in the metaverse, in a podcast studio in the metaverse.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I've also been on a talk show in the metaverse with a live audience. So, so what you're talking about is definitely happening, and it's like pretty, I guess, at the beginnings of it, but
Hmm.
that can absolutely happen. I think that the TV show specifically, I thought it was the first one, and it was set up almost like an Oprah style talk show where there's like stands, and the audience actually goes and sits their avatars on the
Oh, really?
stands. There's even a microphone in front of the stands for audience questions, and like couches and screens behind the couches, and even a little DJ booth so that the DJ can like play music and like do the cues and stuff. It was just absolutely incredible. So I'm just so excited to see more of that because it was really
Absolutely.
fun.
Absolutely. That's cool. Now, what platform was that on?
So that was in alt space.
Okay.
Alt space is, see, that's the funny thing. I think that is a metaverse in a way. The only thing it doesn't have that I think people want to add into the qualifications for metaverse is the coin aspect. So there's no coin that you have to buy or use to buy anything within
Hmm.
alt space. It's just a free tool that anyone can access. An
Well,
app on VR. Yeah.
that I mean, that could be what the catalyst for the mass adoption event, right? Like, and again, I'm not a gamer, but I know that gaming at some point will be the largest catalyst for, mass adoption in this ecosystem. But for some reason, the way play to earn gaming, blockchain gaming, NFT gaming, all that stuff is a big turnoff to the gaming community, right? And so I think, if you flip the script on what you just said there, I think that maybe it follows along that same lines of, maybe it's just how we classify it, and that might be how we could get more people in. It's just, let's just call it something different.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I think people just like the word metaverse because it's just like a buzzword, and it just sounds like, wait, what? It's just got that flashiness to it. But yeah, I do think in some level, it's gonna end up being called something else. I pull for the multiverse, but that's just like the nerd in me. I think it sounds really cool, but also I think it's more accurate. So
I think anything that, and I would agree with you. I think it sounds better. I think, we'll see how the thing goes with Meta and Mark Zuckerberg, right? And I think maybe that could be the dirty word moving forward, that meta word. So if you remove metaverse and you go with an omniverse, or if you go with a multiverse versus the metaverse, it takes kind of that power away from Facebook, which nobody really wants that to be the one that wins. But I will tell you, I am glad, as someone who is as a content creator and educator, and I'm super fascinated with the metaverse, I am a-okay with him spending billions and billions and billions of dollars to build it, and then we figure out how it works, and then someone adapts it to more of a Web3, more of our ecosystem style friendly platform. But let him spend that money, let him figure it out, let he can use that better than someone else
absolutely.
that is bootstrapping an operation to try to come up with it. And that's opinion, who knows?
No, I mean, I think that's fair. I think, well, funny enough, the podcast I was on was in Horizon Worlds, which is the Meta VR social platform. But yeah, just in general, I think it's nice not to have branded things. They're branded, what is it? I don't know, names or classifications, especially if we're talking about something so big that we're trying to not have tied to like a central organization, right? So like you said, removing that first part of metaverse and adding something in there, I think it makes sense. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see what the crowd and what the world accepts as the new word to describe it.
Absolutely. And speaking of waiting to see, I can't wait to see you down in Miami in just a few weeks here. Creatress, I appreciate you taking time to chat with me today, and me getting the opportunity to learn a little bit about you and what you do as a 3D VR performance artist and sculptor. I think that's super cool. I'm absolutely fascinated and look forward to checking it out. Now, if people want to if they want to learn more about you and see what you got going on, where can people find you, whether it's social media, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you can find me as Creatress Art. LinkedIn, you can find the LinkedIn on my link tree, which is in all my bios. So yeah, just Creatress Art. That's where you can find me. And if you're organizing an event and you need some futuristic art performance, let me know. My press kit's in my bio as well, and all the information you need. So
Perfect.
happy to meet you soon. We have about a month to go.
Yeah, it's coming up faster than I expected, and I'm looking forward to it. Though it's been a couple weeks. I hit the conference scene pretty hard this last year, taking about a month off, but I got to get back to my Web3 friends. I miss everybody, so
wow.
I'm really looking forward to being down there.
A month off, okay, yeah. See, we didn't touch on this. I think I've done 24 performances now, and I started November 5th last year, so I actually just passed my 1 year mark. And I also understand the need to take breaks. I need about a month in between each one. personally.
Yeah, you know, for just personal, mental health, all of that. You know, you just you don't want to get burnt out. You know, Web3, if you're in this ecosystem, you know that it runs 24 hours a day. You could be in a Twitter space, you could be on a whatever. You know, it is definitely much needed sometimes to take that break, refresh, reset. You know, spend some time with people in real life, and then just get back at the grind. This is the time to be building.
That's right. That's right. All in
All right.
all in due time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you, and I will see you soon down in Miami, Florida.
All right. See you soon. Thank you again.
Thank you.